Connor Rueca, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. You started wholesaling when you were 18, right?
Mhm.
Your brother started jumping in their early 20s. You guys built a phenomenal team, and now you're getting into some JVs, learning to raise capital. So that's really exciting. What sparked your interest in real estate at 18 when most of your peers were probably out partying and just trying to figure out what they were going to do next?
Super good question. There wasn't anything in really particular for real estate in general. I really just I think I guess for me, like I enjoyed watching real estate shows when I was younger. So when I was like, all right, I need to start a business. I was already doing some little stuff with my friends and stuff like that in high school. But I was like, when I need to start a real business, I didn't even know about marketing. Like, give me a couple years back, I might have chose marketing if I knew about like SMMA and that whole industry. I didn't know anything about marketing. I always heard stuff about like drop shipping, but never something that I really wanted to look
Mhm.
at. And just understanding real estate and just seeing it around me and seeing nice houses, seeing ugly houses. I was just like, why not real estate? And at the time, I only knew about real estate agents and flipping. And I'm like, there's no way I could probably flip. And one day after I came home from a very long trip in the Philippines, a secluded trip, my whole family got COVID for 2 weeks, and I was by myself in the Philippines, like downstairs in the house, in the family house with the Wi-Fi, just myself for 2 weeks. And I was just researching like just real estate stuff. And then I came home. I was like, all right, let's just start a business. I got some money. Let's just invest in something. I think mentorship is very important. So I searched up how to get into real estate, and it said a couple things: real estate agent, fix and flipping, buy and hold. You could be like a lender or wholesaling. And I searched up wholesaling on TikTok when I had TikTok, and it was like one of these guys just doing a live phone call to a seller. And I was like, wow, that's very interesting. Like he's also 19, 20 years old, and he's just talking to sellers about getting a good deal. So I searched up, hey, how to wholesale real estate. And the first link that popped up was an ad. I didn't understand funnels at the time, right? Still very beginner in business. And it brought me to a funnel where I was getting a script from Brent Daniels, TTP. And this is actually really crazy because I talked to the person that called me. A salesperson called me 25 minutes later, like specifically 25 to 30 minutes later, pitching me like, hey, do you want to get into real estate wholesaling? And I'm like, hold on, wait, what? Tell me first what real estate wholesaling is, because I didn't even know about it. He started to explain it to me, and he was like, hey, if you want to get into wholesaling real estate, Brent Daniels is an amazing coach. Like people say he's the Michael Jordan of coaches for wholesaling real estate. And it was just a sales pitch, and he's an amazing guy. I'm friends with him now. And I essentially got closed on the phone. That's what happened. I got closed. The funny story that I want to share is I talked to him, I think 3 months ago in December. And he goes, Connor, you know what's really crazy? I do not take student lead sales calls because he's the closer of the real estate business. His name is Ryan. He's the real estate closer, the acquisition manager. He said, honestly, like, I don't know why Brent put me on that call, but he just told me to call you and see if you'd be interested in mentorship. And I bought on that call, and it's changed my life since. No interest in particular, just exploring, and got closed.
That's amazing. I've actually had a chat with Brent's team myself. Honestly, if I had not have had already joined the sub 2 mentorship with Pace, that would have probably been a great start because we have Pace, we have Jamil, and then we have Brent. And I think each one of them has their own specialties. And so coming into real estate, it's okay. If you want to learn wholesaling, you're Brent Daniels, the man. If you want to go fix and flip, virtually or not, Jamil. And then anything, of course, creative, you got Pace. So it's you just really have to know where you want to start for you to really pick a lane.
Facts. I truly believe, I don't know if it was luck that I got closed by a good coach, because I'm such a buyer. I want someone to sell me, and I think if they have a super good pitch and I'm interested in their product, I'll put the money down, I'll get it done. But yeah, I'm definitely blessed that it was one of the top 3 out there that are coaching, because there's a lot of other ones out there that could have got me.
Now, coaching and mentorships, a lot of this stuff to get into real estate is absolutely not free. At the end of the day, I personally look at it as an investment in myself. How did your family react to you getting started with TTP?
I'm so glad you asked. When I was on that sales call, I told Ryan, I was like, "Hey, like my dad, he's high in the corporate ladder. He does finances. He understands money. Let me talk to him. Let's see what he thinks." And I called my dad, and he goes, "Connor, what is wholesaling?" And I'm like, I essentially tried to repeat what Ryan had told me 5 minutes before what wholesaling was, and it wasn't clear. But my dad understood. He was like, "All right, Connor, he's done little business stuff with his friends. He's serious about this." He goes, "Connor, why don't you just get a deal on YouTube? Go on YouTube University, get it done there, and then I'll pay for the mentorship." It was 6K. "I'll pay for the mentorship to Brent Daniels, but get a deal first." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But I was pretty bummed out because I wanted to get into something ASAP. And Ryan, he just painted the picture so well for me. So I was on that high of that consumerism. And I didn't tell my dad, but I ended up just buying it. Um, and I didn't tell my dad that I had bought the mentorship until I got my first deal 7 months later. My mom, I didn't tell her at all. I just told her that I'm doing a business. She doesn't need to understand that stuff. I don't want her to worry about me or call my dad. They're divorced. I don't want them to, like, "Why would you let Connor spend X, Y, and Z on this mentorship? Did he even ask you?" My dad's gonna be like, "He didn't. I told him he didn't." So I didn't even tell my mom. And then my brothers were one of them was an MBA, one was graduating the following year from undergrad. My youngest brother was still in high school. And I was always the black sheep, and I was always doing like these money plays and taking the risk. And they just supported me, like, "Connor, get it done. If anyone is going to get anything done in this family, we expect you to make this happen." So I just had full support from my brothers, my dad and mom. They just got like the updates. "Hey, I'm just making calls. Been doing this business." But I'm so thankful that there was no like lashback or anyone disappointed in me for investing in myself, because had there been that, it could have been a different story. There could have been more obstacles. There could have been feuds going on, but no, none of that. I'm blessed.
I love that. You took the risk when your parents might not have supported you, but what's even better is your brothers were just like, "Hey, bro, go do your thing, get it done." And I think that's phenomenal. That's definitely something not everybody has. So definitely count your blessings on that one. When did your brothers decide that it was time to hop in the business with you?
So the brother right above me, so we're 19, 21, 23, 25, and then we have a first cousin that's 29. All 5 of us do business together. The brother that's right above me, Alec, he joined me once I closed my first 2 deals. Those closed in the first 2 weeks. Alec had graduated that same week. And when those 2 deals closed, we were actually at his graduation dinner with the whole family around us. So that's when my dad got the news, like, "Dad, I'm just letting you know, like, I did pay 6K for the course, but look at my bank. Like, we made 6 figures and then we did it." So he had just graduated, and the dilemma was, "Hey, am I gonna go continue my sales job?" He had a sales job at a unicorn company. So like a company that was about to like, or either they're about to go IPO or something like that, in Silicon Valley where we live in the Bay Area. So do that and run with me part-time. But at the same time, he had admission to MBA program at UC Riverside. So there was 3 things playing in line, and I was like, "Alec, look, you can get this sales job, but you're still not a you're not like an account executive. You still have to go through the training. You have to appointment set. Like, that's a huge journey to get to the point where you want to be. I bet if you joined me, we'd make the same amount of money, if more." So he actually had gotten into the MBA program, which there was very low probability of him getting in. So that essentially bought him more time to explore and do more things. He didn't have to he couldn't even stay for his job. His job was in the Bay Area. MBA was SoCal. So he took MBA program and essentially he just joined me that summer. And he was like, all right, Connor, we're going all in. I'm going to go to MBA. You're going to go back to school and we're just going to be partners and get this done. And that first 3 months, I just threw him into the deep waters every single day because I had no SOPs. I was still learning it myself. I was just 9 months in and I just closed 2 deals and we've seen so much money in our bank account that we've never seen before. And I was just learning so much so quickly. So I was like, I don't have time to train you. Like, I'm just do the dispo and then comp this and then do the dispo for this deal and then comp. And then, yeah, here, hop on a sales call. His first sales call session to sellers was his birthday. And I said, Alec, trust me, like you can just run dispo. You don't got to make any sales calls. He's like, trust me, Connor, watch, I'm gonna get something out of this list. He got a deal. It didn't sign on his birthday, but he got a verbal agreement on his birthday on his first calling session to sellers. The following day, locked it up, and we dispoed it the next week for $50,000. Like things were just going absolutely bananas here, back and forth, deal here, there. Um, so he got the proof of concept super quick. He didn't have to go through me where it was 7 months of no pay. So that was a blessing. I think God was just guiding us and making sure that we were going the right route and just telling us, hey, you're supposed to be here. So Alec had done that. He went to MBA. We started working together. I went to school. And then my older brother above Alec, Grant, he was on his last year of MBA. So he had to get a job or he had to come and work with the family business. And we obviously created a great buy-in and he jumped onto the team. And then my cousin, 29-year-old, he was working for his family business. They did garages in San Jose. We brought him down all the way to SoCal and we said, hey, you're going to sleep in our house. We're going to share a room and you're just going to join our business. And he wasn't really making too much with his family. He just had security with them. So he was totally fine leaving that business and just joining ours. It was the same exact thing. And then my youngest brother, he had just finished high school that year. I had passed him my small business down from high school to him. So he had been like making some money and just enjoying himself. But I was like, hey, when you get to freshman year in college, you're going to probably rush a fraternity. I was in a fraternity. I said, rush that fraternity. But after you rush that, like you're going to be all in with us. You're going to be working with us and we're going to make you a salesperson, one of the top salespeople on our team. We want you to be talking to sellers. And he was like, all right, whatever. I'm there for it. So my brothers, they were just always on board from the start. There was no pushback. There was pushback while we trained them and had to get them better. But just the whole buy-in process of them actually believing in the vision, it was all there. In addition, it was easy because we had all went to the same college. So my two brothers in the MBA programs, UC Riverside. I was a third year at UC Riverside. Reed was a first year at UC Riverside. We all lived within 20 minutes apart. Two of us together, other two of us together, my youngest brother at the school. So just the proximity was there. It wasn't like, oh, one's in Colorado, one's in Northern California. It wasn't SoCal. Where is everyone at? Is everyone waking up on time? Are we keeping each other accountable? It wasn't all that. We didn't have to deal with that. So that's how the brothers came into the business.
That's amazing. And it sounds like you had just the right mix of everything. Everybody's close by. Like you're saying, you don't have to make sure that everybody's up because you're like, hey, bro, come live in this house with us. And not only that, but you also created the environment for success to thrive. And so you had your own wholesaling manner, for lack of a better term. And it sounds like it really paid off.
Yeah, it was a fun process, super fun process. And it's just cool because truly we all wanted to just rise the ranks from ground level and corporate in the corporate ladder all the way to C-suite. That was what we were going to do because that's what our dad and our mom had been in. And just seeing everyone transition from essentially being an employee all their life, right? Getting jobs at retail, doing schoolwork, listening to the deadlines, taking tests. We're all made to do that through the systems, but seeing everyone transition into having your own responsibility, taking charge of other people under you, making executive decisions without others, about us brothers knowing, you just making that decision on demand. That was just crazy to see. The process in between the transition, difficult. I won't lie. Super hard working with four brothers, everyone close in age. Some of us different work ethic. Some of us are good at something. So yeah, you just have to fit it in like a glove on where they're good in the business. But when it comes to wholesaling, you have to be good at sales regardless. So everyone had to get over that.
So I'm assuming sales is going to be one of them, but what were some of the most important skills that you guys had to develop to build this business from the ground up?
I'll start with me first. And I'm still learning it right now. I wouldn't even say I'm that great at it. I know I'm good at it, but there's so much growth, and that's just being a good leader because my brothers look up to me. Now, when you have four brothers looking up to you and there's so many different opinions, essentially, if you're the leader, you have to be the bad cop, right? You have to be the bad cop. And I'm sure it's probably different if it's not family, but since we're brothers, we're just super hard on each other. We're allowed to give that brotherly love. But yeah, I had to be the bad cop for the longest time. And I actually found myself in a hole because I loved to hustle at that time. And when I hustled, it got us to six figures and got us to more deals after that. But I had taught that to them too, just by the way that I acted, how I was working, how I trained them, how I was a leader. And I know that is totally backwards. Like maybe in the short term it worked out, but in the long term, like it did make it even more hard to scale as a team. So for me, it was leadership and to be able to just demonstrate how things are done. And I heard in your past podcast, emotional intelligence. Chris, the more you get to know me, you will know how hard it is for me to be emotionally intelligent, especially around hardworking men. You know what I mean? We all have standards and we all work super hard. And if I'm working hard, I expect you to work hard. And if you're not working hard, I'm pretty disappointed in you. So with our brothers, it's even enhanced more because it's, dude, we have this vision together. Don't you see us getting to this level by the end of the year? This is what it takes. You should be on it. You should be there. And essentially, I taught a hustle culture to the brothers. And it wasn't until like Alec, who was leading with me, he was more of just like second man in charge, but he was also running everything with me. He's Connor, I think we're doing this incorrectly. Like they're not working the way that we work. And it's probably just because the way we're communicating with them. So right now, the whole training for 2025, because it's still very new to us, right? Brothers just joined last year in 2024, January. The goal for 2025 is to become super good at just understanding emotions more and being intelligent about it, how to communicate, how to receive it, and really just hold my emotions together. If I really want to say something to you, I really just want to be so mean to you because we were just like that our whole life. And it's really funny because when you do accomplish it and you're like, wow, I actually just did that. It could be something so small, like you didn't get ticked off. It's powerful. And you see the brothers and they're like, Alec would come over. He's like, "Did you want to say something, Connor?" And I could tell you wanted to say something. And I was like, "Dude, I really did. I need to change." So for me, leadership, just really leading my brothers the right way, not through hustle culture. And then two, getting better at reading emotions or having emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I think that's big. Getting started as an entrepreneur, it's definitely the mindset of you got to go, you got to put in the work. You're almost whipping yourself to get it done. And your brothers are along with you for this ride. And so you're, hey guys, we got to get this done. Like we got to move, we got to hustle. But then it sounds like now you're realizing, hey, we have to play to our strengths here and back off just a little bit, because like we made it. Like hustling got us this far, but if we continue to push this system, it might break down on us. And
And
I
that's
think
what
that's
happened. That's actually what happened. Can I share?
absolutely.
We had a crazy amount of money in the bank, right? A lot, and deals were closing. And then we started bringing on our brothers, and I was like, guys, this is what the bank account looks like. And then every month, as I'm teaching hustle culture, and as we're not pivoting, we had enough in the bank account to start opening up like PPLs or PPC if we wanted to. But I was just so hustle culture that like, let's just keep cold calling, because cold calling is like really doing well for us. And essentially, we only had one marketing channel for 16 months, and it was working. But then every month, as I'm training the brothers and leading them and doing the hustle culture stuff, the bank account got smaller and smaller, and it kept getting so small where I totally panicked. I was like, guys, we've been doing this all wrong. And they're like, what are you talking about? Because I was just scared to share with them like what's happening to the bank account, because I thought I was doing so well. I thought we were closing so many deals, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller. We had bought 4 houses, so it even got tremendously smaller. And then we essentially almost hit rock bottom, and then we just pivoted super hard. And we said, hey, no more cold callers. Let's get rid of cold callers. Let's really pivot and play and just optimize all the stuff we had. We had up to 3,000 leads in our system over 14 months, which is like a lot of leads over 14 months. And I was like, look, this is what we need to do. We need to bootstrap right now. We need to play with our leads in our pool. Let's turn off marketing for a month. Let's just get settled in. Everyone understand what they have to do moving forward. And then we picked some new marketing channels, and we just had to start from ground zero. Now we had equity in a bunch of our 4 houses, but that's like unrealized equity or accounts receivables. So that's literally what happened. Like I took it all the way up here, and the way that I was being a leader, it took it all the way down here back to when Alec had just joined me, and then back up. It was a roller
But
coaster.
it definitely sounds like it. So how big did your team?
So 5 of us brothers, we got up to 8 cold callers in house. So that's 13 right there. And then we had a dispo manager, just like a VA. And then we had 2 VA acquisition managers. So 13, 16 people.
Wow. What kind of management challenges did you face with that many people?
Truth be told, I wanted to not join the Zoom calls. There was so many questions. I would say the management issue is not having those SOPs in there, right? Standard operating procedures. That's like the main thing as you scale. Because if you don't have that, then you're going to repeat yourself 3 to 4 times to the same person. Now, let's say you have 9 of them, right? There came to a point where I just wanted to take my sales calls, and I did not want to join the Zoom call because I knew 10 questions were waiting for me, right? And I was just a control freak. Like I did this all wrong. That's what I like to share about it. I was just a control freak. If my brother asked me to figure something out, I was like, yo, I'll just do it. I'll just send the agreement to him. I just take it myself. No, I should be like, all right, this is what we do. Here's the SOPs. Just send it to me when you complete it, and then we can send it. But I was just a control freak. I wanted to do it. It made sense to me. I could do it faster. Do you know the 80/20?
The 80/20.
The 80/20 rule. So there's probably different ways. 80/20 rules, you spend 20% of your time on something and it results to 80% of the 80/20 that I could have done is just build an SOP for 20% of my time. And then my brothers do the rest of the 80%. Or a VA does the rest of the 80%. I did not do that. And what's crazy is our mentors had been telling us that the whole time. And I was just like locked in about some other topic. And that was the challenge. That was a challenge that I was going through. I just got miserable managing all these people. And that's why we like let go of our cold callers little by little, just because like there was like starting to become drama with them. Like they were sending in leads that weren't actually leads and then saying that they had these leads and then they were auditing each other, which is good. They were keeping each other accountable, like listening to each other's calls, but they were doing it out of spite. So there was that going on. With the brothers, we were fine. We understood everything. But what we noticed too is in a wholesaling business, you can't have five leaders. You can't have five masculine young men that like want to lead and be responsible. There's just not enough hats or not enough seats for everyone to do something where they actually grow besides sales. Like everyone could be a salesperson, but in terms of leading and having people under you and making decisions without Connor and Alec, there wasn't enough for that. So last year I had stepped out of the business and I let Alec really take on CEO. So there's essentially more room to stretch your arms out because we were like this. What's up, bro? But like, if I stepped out as the control freak, as the hustle dude, trying to get us to 7 figures hustling, which doesn't work. Like when I stepped out, they were all able to stretch and they grew tremendously over the next 2 months I stepped out. So I learned a lot. I had a lot of challenges in the business. And then when I stepped out, I had a lot of challenges understanding like, why the fuck is it working now? Oh, forgive my profanity. I was like, why is it working now? You know what I mean? I thought I was like the one that was orchestrating everything and making it work. But when I stepped out, it just like 2x'd in terms of productivity and revenue. Like it just went well. So there was a lot of challenges there for me.
Learning when to delegate, it sounds like, was a huge bottleneck. And another thing you touched on is that your mentors were telling you, hey, this is what you need to do. But you just didn't realize it until you were actually at the point where it's, oh shit, I need to do this now. And it reminds me of something I heard on a podcast, and they were talking about that some lessons, it just doesn't matter if you tell it to someone because it's just something that they have to experience
The hard way.
the hard way. It's just, you can hear it, you can see it on paper, and you're like, huh, that's pretty good advice. But until you're going through it and you're mired in the situation, you're not really gonna have that shift that's, oh, okay, now I see what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened, bro. And I'm glad it happened because I don't want it to happen when we have a 7-figure business going crazy and we have tons of employees. I'm glad it happened really early in my journey. And I'm sure I didn't even get it all, and I think it's going to take still a couple months to me being like, wow, reflect and see what did I do wrong and still learning, make sure I do it differently with this current business that I'm operating. And yeah, I think I had to learn it the hard way because my mentors, they knew what was going on and I wouldn't tell them verbally. They probably just saw it in me or they saw how I talked about it. So guys, definitely listen to your mentors, especially if they've done the business and they're experienced. They likely know what's going on. So it's good to ask questions and take it in. I think what I was doing at the time was over consuming and under implementing, right? It's okay to over consume as long as you over implement, right? So that I think that's what it was. I was just consuming and I was like, all right, cool. I took notes on it. But like when it came to like game time, like I wasn't using that new move that we had created during training.
The way I think about it is, if you're going to pay for coaching, it doesn't make sense for you to pay for coaching and then not do what that person says, because now you just paid $6,000 to not listen to this person. It really doesn't make sense.
That's a good point, dude. That's literally a good, damn, now that I think about it like that, yeah, if you're gonna pay for it, might as well take action on what is shared in there. That's good.
You guys still have the team. Have you lost anyone yet from the cold calling situation?
Yeah, we let go of all cold callers. So right now we're operating off of niche data, right? We're optimizing and we call it signal sniping, but that's essentially emailing and cold calling them, sending them some text messages. And then we do PPC and PPL. So most of those stuff is inbound. Anything outbound is like super niche data.
And when you say niche data, what do you mean by that?
County data where we have some sort of proof or certification that they are going through probates, going through divorce, going through tax delinquencies, list pendants, and you can get that from the county. I would prefer you do that because it's cheaper, but after you get it from the county, you still have to skip trace it. I have been having trouble with finding good skip tracers. So what we do is we just buy it from a third party source that has a lot of credentials that they've been doing it for some time and they've gotten us results. So we just trust them. So it costs a little bit more, but you're essentially paying for their professional work.
Getting into those systems a little bit, what kind of systems did you guys end up putting in place that helped you organize things a little bit more?
Definitely a CRM, right? Our dispo used to just be ran through an Excel sheet and Google Voice. That's where our dispo was a long time. And I actually run a CRM myself and I've talked to dispo people. If you go to any dispo company, they actually have Excel sheets on demand, even if they have a CRM. And it's because it's just a weird department where you can't control it with one thing. There's too many moving parts. Okay. And people who are in dispo, you guys will understand what I'm saying. With acquisition, it's very cut and clear. A person can be in touch, a person can be interested, a person, we gave an offer and they rejected it. In acquisition, you can base it off sales stages. For disposition, one buyer can want 7 of your deals. So it's like, how do you organize that? So we essentially got a CRM, and that CRM laid a really good foundation for us. If you have 8 cold callers, you're bringing in every single day minimum 25 leads, right? So we needed a system that was able to track and organize and text and reach out to like 25 to 30 leads per day. Because what we were doing is we had the cold callers and we had a CRM through Mojo Dialer. Have you used that before?
I have heard of it. I was using Batch when I started cold calling.
Cool. So it's same thing as Mojo Dialer. It has a CRM in it, but it's not really a CRM. You can't text out of it. You just take notes on it.
Hmm.
And we were bringing in a lot of leads just through there, and we just couldn't text them. It was just weird. So when we got a CRM, we built within the CRM ways to automatically text these guys, and it worked super well because if you have, let's just say even 10 leads, if you call those leads, you're likely going to get only 3 to 4 of them on the phone on that same day. So those 6 people who we weren't able to get to, they were just left for the following day, right? And then after of those 6, 10 more come. So now we're at 16. You're probably only going to hit 6 to 8 of them. So the chunk just kept getting bigger and bigger of ghosting leads. So when we got the CRM, we built a system where it texts them every single day for 10 days straight. I call it 10 days in heaven. And that was able to at least touch up or connect with the lead when we couldn't hit them on the phone. So it's little stuff like that on the acquisition side helped a lot. On the dispo side, we had to build so many SOPs for that. So many. How to post on Facebook, how to data scrape cash buyers on Facebook, how to create a deal description, little things like that. It's super important to have because I call those MWAs, minimum wage activities. My brothers shouldn't have to do that. We were doing it ourselves because we didn't have SOPs. All we needed to do was make one SOP, and then now our VAs were doing that, who were paying $3.50. So we were getting rid of those MWAs quickly. And that's how we were able to rebuild. We found good PPL companies. That's a great marketing channel for us. We were getting as good as a 6x in return for 3 months straight. But we noticed that we had to spend over 5K to get that 6x return. So we were spending 5K, getting literally 30K back. And then we did it for 3 months straight and it went perfect. And then we went to the Philippines for 3 weeks and totally effed up that whole channel because I left the buying process on and we bought like 12K of PPLs over 21 days while we were in the Philippines with zero service. Stupid, stupid, very stupid. I totally messed it up and messed up our numbers. We had to recover. So I'll say something about PPLs. I found the most success with the younger PPL companies. And I would say this, and this is my opinion, I could be wrong. It's because they need to win their place in the market. So they're going to have high quality leads. For the PPL companies that have been in the market, they've been in the game, they're the top names. I see them gathering too much demand for their current supply and they start reselling leads. I think with PPLs, it's a cycle. You have to keep refreshing, have to keep finding the new ones because you want to be with those who are trying to earn their spot. And then I guess stay with the bigger ones if they keep working for you. With PPC, we went with a marketing agency, Google Ads. We could have learned it, but it didn't make sense for us to learn it. So we just went with the Google Ads agency. And then we just started to talk to our actual mastermind and mentorship buddies. I don't know why we didn't talk to people or get loud within our communities. And it's probably just because of ignorance. There's 5 of us. The ideas have to be within the 5. No, that's BS. The ideas are with everyone else that do this business outside of your own, right? So we started to talk. We started to get insights. People started to tell us about niche data. People started telling us about a lot of things. And what I noticed is all we have to do is just make one perfect marketing brick at a time. So I call it bricks. You could say channels, but I like to see our business as a castle. We need to place one perfect brick at a time. And for us, what we've seen success is if we start with marketing. So start with one marketing channel, build it perfectly. We had built cold calling perfectly, but we just lost control of it because it was just getting to too many people, too many questions, not enough SOPs. Build one perfectly, make that make sense, make it make money, and consistently do it over months, not just 3 months, right? Like my PPL round where I went crazy and then messed up month 4. That shouldn't happen in a perfect brick. And then doing another one and doing another one. What I would say where you should start, if you already have a marketing machine, you definitely need a solid sales process. So some nurturing system within your CRM that can reach out to leads in all different types of stages. Brand new lead, ghosting lead, cold lead, rejected offer lead, or signed elsewhere lead, right? You want to have different campaigns for different stages in the sales process because for us, what we noticed, we were like, all right, what's our average deal size? Our average deal size is $16,000. What happens if we treat every single lead as if it's going to give us 16K? When we got that nailed down in that perspective in our head, we were like, all right, let's build some crazy campaigns that will make them feel that way. And that'll just show whatever is out there in terms of allowing things to happen. I believe it's God. Just show God that we're really trying to help these people and serve these people. So we built a bunch of sales processes, automations, contract sending, different campaigns, agents to sellers. We started to see just an upscale in offers made because we were actually nurturing our leads. So if you have a marketing channel that's already good and it's well oiled, build on your sales process. If you don't have enough leads, one perfect marketing brick at a time.
Sounds like the fortune is definitely in the follow up. How important would you say it is, or I guess a better framing would be, how soon should someone look to establishing SOPs? Like, what's the criteria for that?
It's a very good question. For SOPs, I would say do it as soon as possible. Even if you don't have employees, it's good to have SOPs. Now, what I used to do it on Saturdays and Sundays, SOP Saturday, SOP Sunday. And that's when I would build the SOPs, because during the days I want to be on the phones, right? And in terms of like criteria, as soon as possible, or if something seems like just like if you're doing something more than once in a week, I think those are the first ones that you get out the way in terms of SOPs. How easy is it? You just get Loomis free up to a couple videos, but I think it's worth paying for if you have a team. Turn on the Loom where you're recording your screen and recording your face and you can talk to it, and do the task, and then just save the video, and then just name the video, this is how you post on Facebook, your deal. And that's an SOP, right? SOPs can be written out, SOPs can be videos, SOPs can be just voice recordings. And I would recommend doing the ones that you do more than once a week right off the bat. Get those out of the way. Then you're likely going to hire a VA for super cheap, $3.50 an hour. Probably a cold caller first. Have that cold caller doing those SOPs that you make. The way that I see it is there's $10 jobs, there's $10 hour jobs, there's $100 jobs, $1,000 hour per job, right? Get rid of the MWAs. You're going to be at the 10s, which is, I don't know, signing contracts, filling them out. You can easily build an SOP on those. $100 is sales calls. You can build SOPs on sales calls and trainings and stuff like that, because when you have a team, you want to be doing the $1,000 per hour activity. And what I see is that is investing into systems. So like spending time in your systems to make sure you're using them right, training your team, sales training or any type of training, and also just looking for new marketing channels, little things like that. I think those are like the money making activities that you could be doing. But that's what I would say.
Focusing on your highest and best leverage task.
Yes.
How soon would you recommend getting your first hire?
It's a good question. Are we cold calling?
We're cold calling.
Okay. So if we're cold calling, I would honestly, I don't know if I should put a deal number on it or an amount of money. I think that it also depends on your circumstances of if you have a family, if you're just a kid, if you have to pay for a mortgage. If you don't have too many bills, I would honestly say once you make the first deal, or at least over 20K, I would instantly get a new seat on my dialer and hire a VA from Upwork for $3.50. They might not like it at $3.50, right? Some people do 4, some people do 5. I haven't been able to find all of mine at $3.50 because I built a culture around them. So if you build that buy-in, that culture around them, they feel super safe in your company. They're willing to take a $3.50 and it's worth it for them. Okay. They're still making good money. That's when I would say you get a VA, and I would make them cold call first, help you with marketing. Some people would say executive assistant, but I don't think, or admin, a VA. No, I'd rather have my VA just get on the phones with me. They dial and I'm dialing same exact time. We see each other on Zoom and we're just having a really good time together. And yeah, that's my take on it.
How do you go about establishing that company culture with your VAs?
For us, it's been treating them like our family, right? Not like a brotherly thing, but just showing them grace. And one thing about VAs, I bet if all of us listening to this, if you ask your VA, do you want to get better at something in this business? They will all have an answer. All VAs are seeking more growth because they know they're so powerful. You know what I mean? If they're from the Philippines, they're like extremely smart for some reason. I don't know why they're so smart and so quick to learn. They're just like that. So just making sure you guys are training these people, like your cold callers, we would train them once a week and audit their calls, put them on the spot, listen to their calls in front of everyone and make recommendations or raise them on a pedestal because they did it right. They want to learn. If you are actively training them, they understand that you're investing in them. Okay. Also, it's part of the framing. You know what I mean? The way that you talk to these guys, some people are just assholes to their VAs. And it's not fair because you're probably not being a good leader. But if you can frame everything the right way in terms of where are they going next, what's going to be the next position, if they keep working hard, what's the goal? Or is there any incentivizations at all? Those little things really keep them committed to you. The VA industry, I feel like there's a high churn rate, right? You might have a business like for us, like we've had probably over 10 VAs. We kept 3 out of the 10, and all the other 7 were fabulous communicators. So there's churn rate on the hiring side, like we just let them go, and there's also churn rate for them finding new opportunities or them just leaving because it's a bad situation. So what you have to do is essentially get them committed to the journey. You can set some foundations down, and it's just like a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Once you set those foundations, don't go back on them, right? Don't let someone cross the line and other people are like, are you gonna do something? No, listen to whatever protocols, standards, policies that you laid down for them. Stick to that and they'll always respect you.
Hire VAs, but set the upfront expectations very clear, very specific. This is what we want from you. This is what we expect from you. And then don't treat them like a bottom feeder.
Yes.
What's been a core principle in growing your leadership?
Core principle in growing my leadership.
Maybe a better way to frame it is your leadership philosophy.
Hmm.
What kind of traits do you see in good leaders that you yourself are trying to uh, maybe implement or reflect to your team?
Very good question. I have a couple people that I look up to as leaders. The first one that comes to mind for me is the way that Jesus Christ led the way to live as a human being, right? So what Jesus did, Jesus essentially he came from God, he came to earth. He said he was the son of God and he related to us humans and he did things that a high status or even God man would do. Like why is he washing his people's feet? He was in one of the stories, he was one of his disciples' feet, and his disciples was like, why are you my feet? I should be yours. Right. And what Jesus essentially says and paraphrases, hey, I'm doing this so you could do this for others. Okay. So those little things like that, like I've been reading the Bible and just trying to understand the way that Jesus lived and why he's so important in our lives. He lived by demonstration and he has caused a ripple in time where there's a lot of people on this earth that are trying to live like him. So it's that kind of impact. And I want to at scale be that person for my brothers where it's wow, Connor was did it this way. So when it comes around and it's maybe I'm the person that has to do it, I understand that it's something that we should do. Right. So Jesus, he's done it time and time again in the Bible where he's just led by demonstration. And if you look at it now, like his disciples, his 12 disciples, a lot of them died for him. Right. Jesus had died, he got crucified, he got resurrected, and then he went to God. Or he got resurrected and he actually they say he came onto earth and hundreds of people saw him. And then he went to God, right? So the reason why the disciples kept spreading the word of Jesus is because he resurrected when people said, "No, he didn't resurrect. What are you talking about? There's no way a man can resurrect." But after Jesus had resurrected, went to God, his disciples stayed on the ground and they continued to disciple because they believed in Jesus so much and they believed in his ways, right? Some of them got martyred, some of them got horribly killed, And the only reason is because they wanted to spread the word that, hey, Jesus did resurrect. It actually happened. He's actually the God figure of mankind. So I really just want to to emulate that in some way at my heights of leadership. And that is the hardest because that's essentially grace. It's super hard to be graceful. And when I'm around my brothers, it's even harder because the temptation to just get mad and there not being any conflict is so high, right? We're still going to wake up and I'm going to knock on his door and say, hey, bro, appreciate you for understanding. I'm sorry. Let's get back to work. There's a lot of temptation there, but I know if I could just be graceful, like Jesus was with all the people that ridiculed him, that put him down, for the people that loved him, I know I'm going to be an amazing leader. So that's one of the principles that I want to become better at to be a good leader.
For me, that was developing that sense of self-awareness, learning how to be more emotionally intelligent. And I think the biggest thing is being able to take yourself down from that leadership position and get your hands dirty with the people that you're trying to lead. I think that builds a huge sense of rapport and team cohesion. You're not all the way up here telling the people down there what to do. You're now coming down there, hey, let me show you how we got to do this.
100%. Yeah, that's definitely the biggest thing. And for my leaders out there, if you guys are leading by just making sales calls, I thought I was like doing a service by taking a bunch of sales calls, trying to show my brothers, hey, this is how you do it. I think the leading is, yeah, take the sales call, but have them take the next one.
If you had to start over from scratch, what do you think one of the first things you would do would be?
Can I pick a hard time or do you want me to say from the very, very beginning?
Sure, you can pick a hard time.
So like when we had just made the tremendous amount of money from those two deals at the beginning and my brother joined, I had wished we reinvested into ourselves. So just gotten more insights on the game of real estate. The game of real estate's so broad, like you won't even capture a speck of it with your own experience. So if I could go back in time, I wouldn't change anything because I think all the lessons were 100% worth it. And it's better happening now than later. But I would say just reinvesting in myself. And the reason being is because we've reinvested ourselves 2 times after the first time. We have 3 mentorships. We spent over tremendous amount of money. I don't want to say the numbers, but every single time we got a new mentorship, we made a lot of money after that. Like Brent Daniels, I made instantly after 7 months a lot of money off 2 deals. And then I invested into sub two right after that. I think around a year later, I made so much money out of that just based on the community. And then we joined another one recently last year, and we bought 4 houses creatively within the first 60 days of being with them. So, like, we noticed that if you want to change your earnings, you have to change your learnings. So, like, when we were at our peak and we were just like, all right, Dallas, cold callers, do this, do that. And then we started to go down. I wish we had just got into a mentorship or at least talked to the current mentorship we were in, got the insights of, all right, we're at this level. This is like, what do we do? Rather than like trying to do it trial and error on our own ignorance and our own experience. It's not worth doing that.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Make sure you're implementing whatever you're learning.
Mm,
I can definitely see you getting into the business buying space. Have you thought about that?
yes. I really think that once we scale this one business, the real estate business to past 7 figures a year consistently, and then I get my second business right now to 7 figures a year, I want to get into business buying, private equity, or maybe just consulting right? It's the same thing, but private equity is consulting and buying the business or investing into the business. Consulting is just training people to take them from 0 to 6 figures or 6 to 7. But 100%. My brothers telling me, they're like, Connor, I think what's going to happen is there's 5 of us. We're all eventually going to have our own businesses, but we all run as like chairmen. But they said, Connor, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have to start all those 5 businesses and turn them from 0 to 6. And then we just take it from 6 to 7. So I know that's like the inside joke, because I stepped aside, went to second business, and we took it to 6 figures in revenue per year, within not cash collected revenue, but in projected revenue per year within 2 months. Like we made 10K and then 10K and then we kept going up. So that's what they were saying. They're like, Connor, after we scale real estate, Alec, you're gonna go into my business right now, scale that to 6 to 7, and then I need to go start another one. That might be the route. I love buying businesses and building them from nothing to something.
I've heard it from other business owners, but it's like when it gets to the point where you're at the point where you actually need to start delegating and you finally pull yourself out of the business, you realize that when you go to put yourself back in, you just start screwing things up for everybody else. And they're just like, hey, look, we love you, but just get out of here. And it sounds like you're already hitting that level where it's okay, I know I need to take a step back and you can focus on the broader picture. I think just from what you said when it comes to the business buying, maybe that you would be the person to sit in that consulting chair first, because I think you might find a lot of enjoyment in looking at the inner workings of other people's business. And then you can take that back and be like, hey guys, this is what we can do. And you can bring that into any other business that you guys are looking to acquire.
I love that. Can I ask a question? Why do you think I'd be a good fit for it?
You seem very systematic, very headstrong. I think you very much most likely do enjoy putting things together and seeing how they work. So I think based on the very systemized approach that you would be a great fit in that.
Cool. I've actually been asking God, just asking him like, hey, what is the bigger journey for us? Because it's 5 brothers. No one has this luxury. Like, what is it? Because it can't be real estate. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we can build a real estate empire, but we're not gonna just be in here. There's too many of us. What is that thing for us? And do I need to start working on it now? And I've been just asking for a message, and I might have just gotten it right here. So
Happy
thank
to deliver.
you for sharing.
Well, this has been a fantastic freaking conversation, dude. Where can people go to connect with you and find out more about what you're working on?
Cool. I love to just get my number out until it gets too crazy and I keep getting spam calls, but 650-346-7907. I am a regular person. Nothing special about me. I am just like you. Please hit me up. In terms of Instagram, just capable Connor, the word capable, then Connor with an E. And Facebook, it's just my full name, Connor Rueca.
Love it. I'll be sure to get some links down in the show notes so people can check you out. And leave the phone number for the people who make it to the end of the video. Connor, thank you again for coming on. Guys, if you got value from this episode, please share it with a friend, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, helps more people find the show. And yeah, everybody have a great night. Connor, thank you again, dude.
Thank you, brother. Guys, show love to Chris. He's an amazing guy.